Hi guys, well, I already know what it's going to say in the examiner report after your exam. It's going to say that students can't manage their time across the GCSE business papers. But do you know what? The examiner's already set it out so that you're unlikely to manage your time well in these papers. So let's just have a look. Imagine you go into the exam and then you get stuck in on section A. Now you're aware in total that the exam has 90 marks in it. So you've got 90 marks overall to get hold of here, and so you've got 35 marks here, coming up, approaching almost 40 marks, 40% of the overall paper, so about 38% of the overall paper. And then after that you've got section B, so around about say 33% of the paper, and then you've got section C, which is something like 27-28% of the overall paper there. Now, if you just go through that paper in a linear format, I absolutely guarantee you by the time you get to the end of section C, you will find yourself short on time. Now, the last two questions are a 9 and a 12 mark question. That 9 and that 12 mark question represent 21%. So therefore approaching almost 25% of your entire exam, of your entire marks that's actually available here. So the vast majority of students are going to allocate quite a bit of time towards making sure that they do this part of the paper really well. But you know what's really interesting about this? When I did these papers, and I've done 4 of these papers now, I was allocating round about 70 minutes to do these sections. Yeah, 70 minutes. It seems like a lot, but I was finding that I was absolutely flying through this section. You can do this section A very, very quickly. What's the reason for that? Well, the clear reason is that in this section, you are only looking at AO1. AO1A, and that is your basic knowledge, and AO1B, and that is your more developed knowledge of interrelated points. Now, with these sections B and C, it's far more technical because you've got case study information and you've got to make sure you use that context in every single one of your responses. So therefore, you've got to have AO2, you've got to have that application to the context, you've got to have AO3A, which is analysis based on the context, and the AO3B, which is the evaluative judgments that you need in those 9 and 12 mark questions in particular. So, what was I doing? What was my strategy? Well, I would start the paper in section B, and I would do section B first, and then I would complete section C, and then I would go back and do section A. Now, if you want to do this, I really do suggest that you practice doing this in a mock exam. Do it in a mock, make sure you're comfortable with actually doing this in exam conditions, because you may well find the paper slightly harder knowing that you've got to have application from the start. And then, once I'd completed section C in this 9 and the 12 mark question at the end, then I'd go back to section A, and the first question that I did of that was the last question, which was a 6 mark question. So you've got a 6 mark question at the end of that actual section, and I'd get that one done first and then go back to the start of the paper and fly through the rest of it. So that was my approach. I would suggest that you look to spend about probably 60-65 minutes on this section B and section C, because you've got to read the case study. You're likely to have to reread it and go back and pull out information and so on. Make sure you do that. It's so important with any of these questions in that area. And then you'll find section A, you absolutely fly through. This is a massive, massive tip towards your exam success. Go crush it. See you guys.